We are continuing with our series, Orienting to God, and we are visiting different CBWC churches in the Calgary area. And I am so delighted to be here at Altadore Church today and visiting with the senior pastor, the Reverend Judy Shearman. And thanks so much for doing this and for being part of my life for a number of years now, and your influence there, but also your influence here. So let me do a starter question. Tell us a little bit about what you do here and give us a quick overview of Altadore.
Okay, that's try to do it in a nutshell, but yeah, I am Judy Shearman. I'm the lead pastor here, and I've been here 6 years the end of this month, and it feels like it's flown by. And Altadore, for if you need a reminder, is right on the outskirts of the downtown area. For those of you that have been in Baptist circles for a lot of years, we are right next to where the Baptist Leadership Training School used to be. And so many people go, oh, I know that place. And it is, Marda Loop is just right over there, and they're part of our community as well. This church has existed for more than 65 years. And I know that one of our daughter churches is Bonavista Baptist Church. And it's always a pleasure to have that interconnection in that kind of way. And so we are thrilled that you are doing this, and we're going to jump on board and listen to your videos too along the way, because it's an exciting venture.
Yeah,
You're doing it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Judy. I was looking at some documents at Bonavista Baptist, and I think it was 1973. Mm-hmm. There's a group here decided that they were going to launch Bonavista Baptist, and actually sent 20 people from this congregation to help. That's a huge faith step, and so that's part of our heritage as well.
Yeah, and it's something I do wish our churches could do more of. We need more Baptist churches in Calgary, and around Western Canada as well. And so my hope is, after we get through the pandemic, I don't think we'll ever get past COVID, but through the pandemic, my hope is that that's something that we can, again, make a focus for our churches to maybe join together and help plant churches in some of the areas that really need churches.
Yeah, absolutely. So since you brought up the pandemic, it's on our mind. It's been a reality we've been dealing with for, seems a very long time, and that can be a huge struggle. So what brings joy to your soul as you continue in ministry in this place, in this season?
Well, pandemic definitely has not been easy, and it has been a real struggle for all of us. And the constant change is draining, and constantly having to transition from one thing to another. But I have found it interesting that numerous people in our community, which we really focus on being a community church, numerous people have come back to their faith because of the pandemic. And so there was one family who lives just down the street who I got to know in the alleyway. And we had numerous conversations in the alleyway about them coming back to their faith and that kind of thing. And in the last couple of months, we also have had a number of people from the community come to church when we're open, which is actually really interesting too. There's a family right across the street in the new high-rise or townhouses that went in just recently, and we prayed over that hole from the day it was, the day the house was taken down. We started praying over that hole, and we have already had God's given us some results and all of that. And so that's always life-giving to me, to see people coming back to their faith because of traumatic issues, 9/11, the pandemic, those kind of things tend to draw people back to God, and I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing how a crisis, it can make people go one way or the other, but often it does drive people back to faith, and that's why we're here, is to be ready to receive them.
Right, and the other thing is this move to online worship is, for us, it's a real struggle because we don't have a lot of technically savvy people. We've learned a lot, and we continue to muddle along. But it always amazes me as to who is watching our videos and where. One older man who came to Calgary, he went back to Nova Scotia to visit family last summer, and he kept watching our services online. And now his family back in Nova Scotia make it a weekly practice to watch online. So there's some interesting things happening around online services for most churches.
Just the extension of ministry beyond the walls, right?
Exactly.
Which is surprising, but great.
And healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in 2022. What's on the horizon? What are the challenges, the opportunities that you see coming down?
There are a number of things. One of them, what was the Canadian International Learning Centre is now called the Centre for International Learning of Calgary, has moved from First Baptist Church and has come here. We have a number of classrooms in the basement that never get used during the week, and so we invited them to come and to partner together, and they are going to be existing in the basement. They hope to open in person soon. They've continued online for the last almost 2 years, but they hope to open in person maybe by the beginning of February, but definitely as soon as they can. So that's one interesting challenge. And that one ties into pre-COVID. We had a thing called Playtime in the Village where it was aimed at the caregivers, particularly the nannies who live in the area. There are a lot of them. And it was a program where they could just bring the kids, and the kids played in the gym, and they could have coffee and together and get to know each other and spend some time. And so the Silk ESL program, I think, will dovetail well with Playtime when we can start that again. And again, we've had to shut that one down because you can't have little ones playing with all these toys and drooling all over them, and then someone else coming along. So that's been on hold, and we look forward to being able to start that kind of thing again as well.
Very cool. How can we pray for you, both as a mom, as a wife, and also as a pastor in this place? How can we pray for you?
Well, balancing personal life and church life is always hard. I've said often during the pandemic, if it was just my family, I'd be fine. If it was just church life, I'd be fine. But when you're trying to deal with the struggles in both of those areas, I often feel pulled. And Dennis and I live in the sandwich generation, where with elderly parents who are deteriorating and with grandchildren who are having some issues. And so it's always an interesting dynamic that way. And then to deal with particularly people on the fringes of our church who are feeling a little disenfranchised. Many are living with mental health issues, and the fear and anxiety is getting the better of them. Those kinds of things are difficult. So prayers for all of that and for good balance and to know God's priorities. That's an important one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much to Judy for taking the time to do this and to give us a little bit of insight into who she is and the ministry here at Altadore. And we're so grateful that this is where we started as Bonavista Vista Baptist Church. And so we're going to pray for Judy and for the other staff and leadership and the whole congregation here at Altadore. We're going to do that right now.